Welcome to the Sales SOS podcast. I'm Liz Hyman, and every episode I sit down with a crew of sales experts who've been in the trenches and know exactly what works. We're here to help you take the chaos out of sales and to build your own selling machine. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Sales SOS podcast. I'm Liz Hyman, your host, and I am here with your Sales SOS podcast crew, Mike Simmons, Chris Bowen, and Brent Tillman. And this month, we're talking about what every CEO or most CEOs are saying, which is, I'm spending a fortune on sales. Why aren't I getting the results I need? And if you're having those conversations or those thoughts, you're in the right place. We're today going to talk about how do you hold your team accountable to achieve what you want them to achieve? So you're investing all this money. You've got all these salespeople. How do you know what they're doing, what they're supposed to be doing, and how do you hold them accountable? So I have lots of thoughts on this, but I'm going to let the team start. Mike, do you want to start us off on this one?
The big thing for me, don't think about it as holding your team accountable. Help them hold themselves accountable to whatever the thing is that they've agreed to. And the only way that they can agree to it is for them to say, yep, I agree to it. And this is not signing off on our, what's the thing that everybody likes to do, that mutual action plan or the mutual.
Yep.
So this is not that. It can relate to it in one way, shape, or form. But you go through and you ask the team, like, hey, how are you going to get there? What needs to be true on your side to get there? And then give them the tools and things in place for them to report that information back. And if it's working, let them keep doing it. If it's not working, then coach up and start to change. But I think it's taken me a while to get here. And it was a couple of years ago that I finally started to kind of see the unlock. It was not about me holding people accountable. It's about them holding themselves accountable to what they committed to, and then giving them the space to go out there and do it.
God, Brent.
So I think, and I'm going to keep it pretty simple, I think we have to just find personal success drivers for each rep, right? So holding someone accountable, like there are things I will never do. No matter how successful they will make me, I am not cold calling. I'm just not going to. So if you say to me, all right, well, how you're going to be accountable for those cold calls, and even if I say, okay, boss, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to find every reason not to. So one of the things we talk about a lot is, a lot of sales trainers will say, you got to get uncomfortable, get outside your box, do things and I say, let's fill your box. What do you do really well that's successful? And for some folks, I'm really good at having the first conversations and I can do that through referrals and I'm really strong at that. Great. Then you're going to be accountable to your success measures, your drivers, your success drivers. So I think before we get to accountability, we have to make sure that what we're holding them accountable, they're willing to do and is something they're good at and it's something that will convert. And if they can hit those three things, then that is, I believe they will be more accountable to that than anything else because it's what they want to do. But for some folks, I just want to cold call all day long and it works for me. I never want to ask for a referral. Don't hold them accountable to referrals. So, we all need to be anchored probably in the same outcome goal, like our department needs to hit this, but each rep, can have their own individualized leading indicators and lagging indicators. Thank you so much, Mike. But, and I think when we do that, holding them accountable becomes easier.
Chris, have you got a thought?
And I always tend to be like, I always tend to think, do you understand what's important to that particular individual? What are they trying to achieve? And then I try to tie it back to, well, if this is what you want to do, whether it is a short-term goal or a long-term goal, I eventually want to run a team. I eventually want to own the whole revenue function or whatever it happens to be, right? Okay. Well, in order to do that, you're going to have to go through certain things to prove that you can handle those things. and tie it back to that. If it's a new rep and their goal is, I want to be able to have enough to put a down payment on a house. Okay, well, have you figured out what that's going to take? Here's how you can get there, but this is the work that it's going to take in order to get there. And to sort of piggyback a little bit off of what Brent said, if you understand that people have certain skills, even if it's something that they may not be good at yet, right? Are they willing to put in the effort to try to get competent in that skill? And that's something they want to do. Like, they're going to put the energy and effort towards it, because that's the one thing I think is really difficult to coach is energy and engagement and putting forth that effort. But I think if you tie it back to what they want to accomplish, what they're trying to do it, and make it about them and not about you or the company or anything else, I think you have a chance at getting a little bit better success there. But that's how I tend to look at it.
I want to take it a slightly different place, because I think these are all really important. The first thing is, if they're not motivated to do it by something that's important to them, they're not going to do it. That is simple. So it doesn't matter how many times I ask them if they did it and punish them for not doing it, it's not going to happen. But I also think that, and my favorite quote is, a number is not a strategy, right? Just because you put a number in the air doesn't mean anybody knows how to get there. Just because I say I'm going to Springfield doesn't even mean I know which Springfield I'm going to, right? And if I am going to Springfield, Illinois, for example, which there actually is one I checked, I need a path to get there. I can't just point and shoot. Like, you can't just get in the car and start driving northeast and hope that you're going to get there. You actually have to have a plan for how you're going to get there. Where are you going to turn? When are you going to turn? What do you need to have? Do you need gas in the car in order to do it? You actually need to know what to do. And if you start your day every day and you look at your email and you start, if Bryn just told me that if she started driving northeast, she would drown before she got there, which is important to know, right? Because we have to know, how do you get there? If you start each day and you look at your email and you let those emails drive your priorities, you will never get to Springfield. You will never get where you're going, because everybody else's priorities are going to take precedence over yours. And because you don't have a plan, the next best thing is to do what other people are telling you to do. So, I've heard it said so many times that, execution is more important than strategy. And that's true. If you never execute your strategy, you don't have anything. But if all you do is a bunch of activities, all you have is chaos. So what? So if you want to hold your team accountable to something, then they need to come up with something that they need to be held accountable to. Your number is this. Can you hit it? What would it take to hit it? Let's create a territory plan. Who are you going to call on? What are the accounts you're going to grow? Who are the targets that you really want to go after? How is it you want to spend your time? What are you going to do that's going to help keep momentum in the deals that you have? What training do you need in order to achieve the goals that you need? And what do you need from me and from the company to get there? Bryn's leaving. Ciao, Bryn. We'll see you next time. So now when I'm having a conversation, I can hold my salesperson accountable to the plan they made. So I can have my KPIs and I can try holding them accountable to those KPIs, which is great. But let's look back at the plan you made. Are you getting where you want to go? Are you following your plan? And is your plan working? And if it's not working, then what do we need to adjust it? I love having a roadmap. I think it's really powerful. And I think that often we get stuck because it's another blank slate. I can do whatever I want today, which I do. Because that roadmap, turn left, turn right, go here, doesn't exist. So I now have Chris and Mike looking at me like I'm nuts. What do you got for me?
I don't think you're nuts. I mean, for me, the thing I coach people on is the game plan. Goal setting and execution through clarity and focus. Goals, actions, metrics, execution. Like, just operate in the context of 2-week sprints. 6 2-week sprints is the equivalent of a quarter. When we go through the sprints, we can evaluate, did the work? First, it's did we do the work? Because if you said you're going to do something and you're unable to account for it, then yeah, no kidding, it's not going to work. So like, be honest with yourself, like to account for accountability, to account for. Let's lay it out, go out and do the work. And if you do the work, then the cool part about it is you can look at those KPIs and say, did the work? Meaning, did it get me closer to my objective? When I'm driving to Springfield, am I working my way to where I need to go, or am I drowning? Because now I've got data points. If the work didn't work, then the next question is, have I given it enough time to work? Because sometimes it takes a little bit longer. If I've given it enough time to work and it's still not working, now I've got to fire the work, right? Because if I'm doing the same things over and over again and hoping that I'm going to get to Springfield, but I haven't remembered to turn the vehicle on, push the gas pedal, or drive down the road, or look at the GPS or whatever it is, then I'm going to be in trouble. So Liz, you're right on point. And the mistake that a lot of people make is they do a lot of work, the to-do list, but they're not able to connect it directly to the goal through the strategic buckets. And that's how I think about it, is just organizing in buckets. The strategy, a 3-pronged strategy aligned with the goal, and then work that's aligned with that strategy. If those things are connected, then all of a sudden this stuff becomes much more clear. And the cool part about it, when you work together as a team and you use something like a whiteboard or Documented or Miro board or MindNote or whatever it is, but you mind map this stuff out. Then when somebody comes up with the shiny stuff, you can go show the board and be like, where's your shiny thing fit into this plan? If it doesn't fit, then you gotta say, okay, I'm either going to eliminate something on the plan, which is okay, because it might set me back and it might actually work out for us, and I'm going to take on some risk associated with it. Or I've got to say, hey, you know what? Not right now. This is not the time to add that new thing. So Liz, I think you are on point. Nice work.
Chris, what do you got for us?
I mean, I think it's always around clarity, right? Like, you know what you're trying to get, you know how you're trying to get there. How are you going to know that you're on track, and how do you know you're not? If you already know you're off track, okay, how are you going to get back? What is it going to take? This is going to be a rehash of what we've already sort of talked about, but what are the accounts? What are the people that you're selling to? What is those conversations? How do you know that it's important to them, or going to be important to them potentially in the future, right? What are you doing that's going to give you that credibility and relevance to that organization and that person? And if you can't figure that part out, you got some basic work to get done first. But that's how I can look at it.
So we start with a plan, a territory plan, if you want to call it that, a map, a roadmap, whatever we want to call it, our guide to get where we want to go. And then we look at our progress. Am I getting there? Is the work I'm doing getting there? Am I remembering to do the things I committed to do? Where am I? And if we're not getting there, if we're off track, now we need to create what a lot of people like to call a gap plan, right? Okay, here's where I thought I was going to be by now. I thought I was going to be in Austin, and I'm somehow ended up in Idaho. So now what am I going to do to get back toward where I'm going? And I'm starting in Reno, if you're wondering why I'm going that direction. And it's probably not north. But anyway, actually, Reno's really far south. You wouldn't believe it. But so what's my gap plan? How am I resetting the course to get where I want to go? And then I want to say one other thing on accountability that I think is really, really important. And that is that I cannot hold my team accountable if I am not accountable. So if I ask my team to fill out the CRM and I don't look at it before our call, I have no right to ask them to fill it out. Yep. Right? If they created a territory plan and I didn't look at it and talk to them about it and work on how to make it the best plan it could be with them, I have no right to question the plan that they made. right? I have to be accountable to my team. I can't just hold my team accountable.
And it should be that way for the whole organization. I mean, like, I've been in places where, okay, we want you to fill out this culture survey, right? And everybody in the company is expected to do it. But then you don't get the results coming back on where things need to get fixed or anything like that. Like, nobody ever, it's like, do this thing that's going to take probably half an hour out of your day to fill out if you're putting any thought behind it whatsoever. But yet we're not going to tell you the results. We're not going to show you the information, and you're probably not going to see anything from a culture change happen. Right. So it's like, hey, why did I waste that time? And if you take that across the entire organization, how much effort went behind that for what? Some sort of window dressing somewhere, but
No,
not something that not anything that I can do anything about.
And if you're listening to all the noise out there in your organization, meaning you see what's happening across different leaders inside the organization, you understand the feedback that you're getting, that it may be as a leader in the business, maybe realistic or unrealistic from the CEO, or people asking you to get blood from a stone or whatever it is.
Okay.
If you're hearing the noise and seeing it, realize your team is as well. So
I think that's one of the biggest frustrations in organizations, period, is like, you think that your team doesn't talk to their peers. Like, sales is a gossip mill. Like, not that it's any different in other portions of the business, but they talk.
and you want them to, them to, and you want this open communication, because if it's from a communication perspective, there are things that are said, there are things that are heard, and there are things that are remembered, and very rarely are all three of those the same. So there are going to be things that are said, and that things that are heard, and that things are remembered inside your organization. And if you're not communicating as a team, building that culture, we talk about culture, building that culture of transparency, openness, clarity. We're all in this thing together. We all have the same objective. It's not a family, it's a business. We're all moving toward a given objective. Let's work like we're working toward that objective. Or politicking, empire building, building our own silos, working toward our own agenda, wanting to get have things that are trying to get that are not aligned. But if we're not aligned, then what's going to end up happening is we lack integrity. The structure won't be able to maintain its shape or maintain it or hold on when things get really rough, or we create unnecessary friction, which creates wear and tear on the organization. It's very simple stuff. It's hard though, and we make it complicated because everybody's got like 6 inches between their ears, and there's a lot of stuff that's going on inside there.
I want to say another piece about this accountability and culture. When your team says to you, I'm struggling with this, everybody's asking for this particular thing, this bell or whistle or whatever it is, and you keep brushing it off, your team is going to start to get frustrated with you. You want me to do something, but you're not telling me how we're going to solve this problem. Or I had a team, and I've told you this story before, literally the CRM refreshed every 15 minutes. Every time I think of that, my stomach gets upset, right? How much time did those salespeople waste putting stuff into the CRM that refreshed in the middle of it and lost everything they just put in, right? And how many times do I have to complain about that before you're actually going to do something to fix it? You're holding me accountable to putting things into the CRM, but you're not being held accountable to provide me a CRM that actually works. And this idea that we are accountable to each other is really important. Your job as a sales leader or CEO is to remove as many obstacles as possible that are going to interfere with your salesperson's ability to sell. And if you're not doing that, you're holding them accountable, this isn't a relationship that works very long. So I guess that was our mic drop moment, because they're both silent. Let's leave it at that, unless either of you have something to add. But accountability is a two-way street, and we do need to hold our salespeople accountable, but we hold them accountable by making sure they understand what it takes to get where they want to go, helping them identify when that's working and when it's not working, coaching them, helping them redirect when they need to, and providing the tools they need to be successful. And then you can hold them accountable to achieving a goal that is realistic within the framework that they're working. So here's my final statement. I hope you all hit your 2026 revenue goal. If you're having trouble, we're around. Reach out to us. We would love to chat with you about it. Thanks for joining us. That's it for this episode of the Sales SOS podcast. Thanks to our crew for their insights and honest input. If you enjoyed this, don't miss an episode. Sign up where you listen to podcasts. And if you've got questions or topics you want us to tackle, join us live on LinkedIn the second Friday of every month, or drop your questions on YouTube or LinkedIn. Until next time, go build your selling machine.